morning, everyone, and welcome to Masterclass 6. I'm Namita Ruthnaswamy. I'm an agricultural scientist and a health coach, and I welcome you on behalf of the WLF Career Coaching Program. And I must congratulate each and every one of you for taking time to invest in yourselves. Yeah. So just before I introduce our coach for today, and I'm very, very privileged to be doing so, I thought I'll give you a little bit of a background as to what is this about. Yeah. So I must acknowledge our sector knowledge partners. We've got Destination Tours and Travels from India, European Tourism and Events Training Academy from Malta, Marcelino Munoz Foundation, Mexico, Gandhi Mandela Foundation, Latin America, WLF Directorate of Human Rights, Mexico. I just love reading this out. I mean, it's from all over the world. How exciting can it be? And we've got to really thank Momita Chakrabarti for making this happen. You know, it's been her vision, her dream child, and so grateful to her for even having this vision, impacting so many lives, getting a brilliant panel of coaches together, highly experienced, very successful in their backgrounds, and coming here to pour from their hearts and teach all of us. So the career coaches themselves, they need no introduction because you've got to attend every masterclass. So every Sunday at 7 p.m., all we need to do is just plug in, learn, and it's really skills for life, isn't it? So this is a 3-month free program. You learn directly from renowned global experts. You gain real-time insights across leadership, entrepreneurship, education, tourism, and hospitality. What's great is that you get to network and connect with professionals worldwide. Yeah. And this opens doors to unlimited career opportunities. And this is really exciting because you also earn an online certificate for participation. Yeah. I mean, what else do we need? So the program highlights there are 13 live master classes by 9 coaches. And this had started on October 5th. And this is the 6th master class. Yeah. And this is Sundays at 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time. That's important to announce. And what I really liked is that it is totally online. So it doesn't matter where we are, what we are doing, we can just plug in. And there are no charges. How do you like that? And a certificate at the end of it all. Okay, so all the very, very best. And there are topics, and I was supposed to share the slides. I'm so sorry. I got so carried away with the information. Sorry about that. We are here. So these are the program highlights and the topics. I know it's really tiny, the print, but right from looking at tourism to leadership skills to life skills. I mean, the topics are really varied. And I think Momita and her team have put in so much time and effort to look at giving us an holistic overview and, equipping us with skills that I would say are life skills. Yeah. So our guest today and our coach today, I mean, I was reading his background. Shekhar, Mr. Shekhar Vijayan, thank you so much. And please allow me to read from my notes because I'm not going to be able to memorize. It's just so fantastic what you've done and what you're offering all of us. So you're a TEDx speaker and you're a trained coach. You're a primetime TV panelist, an actor, an author, a motivational speaker, and a leadership coach. I mean, that's just amazing. So about you, you're a dynamic and inspiring senior career coach, TEDx speaker, and a mentor. Your work bridges personal growth, professional development, and purposeful leadership. An ICP PCC trained coach and Prime TV panelist, you're widely recognized for blending insight, empathy, and energy to guide individuals towards meaningful career transformations. As a Rex Karamveer Global Fellow and Karamveer Chakra Awardee, you continue to champion human potential and authentic success, empowering people to lead with clarity, confidence, and create an impact. I think we need to clap for that. And
Thank you.
please, Shekhar Vijayan, if I can hand this over to you and, please take us through the session today.
Thank you. Thank you, Namita. Thank you. Thank you for the warm words, of course. And, too many verbs and too many adjectives there. But, as we talk, my dog is like, don't believe anything what he says, So, Namita, first up, I think I should thank Momita. I think it's a wonderful work done by a team here. And I had a conversation with Momita a month back, and she had, sounded me out and said, "Sir, I had this idea. What do you think about it?" I said, "This is great. Getting people together is true essence of leadership. Getting because all of us as coaches are very different and very different, and all of us, the sweet spot for all the coaches is very different, I would say, and that's what makes all of us tick, right? The motivation is different, how we look at life is different, and that's what makes it so exciting. And the fact that we are halfway in, and we're into the ninth masterclass, and you're having it on a Sunday, and you're doing it, and I was listening to the countries you mentioned. It's as far, as wide, as diverse, as dynamic as it can get, and it's so exciting and interesting that the internet has made this world such a small place, right? That the fact that you can literally go out and touch somebody out there, almost, I think AI can make that possible. And that really leads to my topic today, which is about, skills for a global career, leadership skills for a global career. And I think first up on that point is your mindset. I was thinking of what is mindset all about? Is it a passport which you need to go to different countries like a Mauritius or a Maldives or a US or an Australia or a Europe? No. I think in today's day and age, with the way the world is operating right now, the world has become a smaller place. The only way you can move forward, as a leader is your mindset. And when I'm saying mindset, it's in terms of affirmations. I strongly believe in this. Shah Rukh Khan had, the famous Shah Rukh Khan had said this in one of his songs, "I am the best, I am the best, or you are the best." At that time, a lot of people felt, oh, he's so narcissist and thinks so much about himself. But I think that's a reality right now. Because if you don't think of yourself being the best, and if you don't work towards that, nobody else is going to think like that. I think our mindset has to be so different as a leader. A leader is somebody who's an outlier. A leader is somebody who swims against the tide. A leader is like a polar bear who catches the salmons when everybody else is swimming downstream. That's what I think a leader is, and I think of it visually. I think that's what leadership is about. Leadership is about the mindset. Leadership is about thinking in positive tones. Leadership is not thinking about half full or half empty, but just thinking that there is water out there. Let me go and make it happen. And I think in today's day and age, in the post-pandemic world, when things changed completely, lives were lost, people's businesses were shunted out, people lost the business, people created new businesses. I think it's very imperative that your mindset is important as a leader. Your mindset in terms of how you think of yourself, your mindset in terms of how you think of people around you, your mindset in terms of what your subconscious mind thinks. As an NLP practitioner, I also believe your mind listens to everything you say. Namita, like the way you spoke, the kind of energy you bring in, or like Momita has come in with the kind of energy she comes in, or with everybody else who's on this particular room right now. The energy we carry is so important. And I think that energy is not something which you can capture. And that's the most exciting part about it. That energy, that aura, however you call it, that hustle, whatever we want to name it, these new names that people come up with. I think ultimately when you bring it down to it, it's one very simple thing, which is your mindset. How do you think of yourself? How do you think of others? What is your perspective on life? And moving on, not just from transaction. I think as leaders, we have to also think of not just doing things to move from point A to point B. That is 2 plus 2 is not equal to 4. Now 2 plus 2 is equal to 10, which basically means you're moving from transaction equal to transformation. In today's day and age, what people are looking at, and I'm sure, Namita, you being a fitness coach, you being a coach, you know it better than me, that now people are looking at transformation. People are looking at what's in it for me. And that's where the mindset is so important, because it's very easy to become negative. It is very easy to, to think ill about yourself. And I always say this, in every session I do, in every masterclass I do, whenever I appear on TV, I talk about the fact that you're an average of the 5 people you have around you. If the 5 people around you are negative, this is the best chance to dump them and tell them that, boss, I don't need you. I can manage on my own. I think we need to be comfortable to live in our own shadows, because ultimately that's what matters at the end. How comfortable are you in your skin? So leadership is about mindset. Leadership is also about being comfortable in your skin. Leadership is also, I think, most important about the fact that your accent, whatever accent we come up with, be it an American accent, be it a Thai accent, be it a Japanese accent. I think what's important is your accent is not important, but your voice is important. And as I hinted at to you at the beginning of the show, I like I said, I come on TV. I believe I'm a wind of change. When you're a wind of change, you believe that a butterfly, when it uses its feathers, when it uses its wings, wings or feathers, however you like it can cause a tsunami. In the same way, all of us, I think, in our own way, can herald a change, can bolster a change. And it's about the choice of words you use for yourself. It's about the choice of words used for everyone around you. It's about how you put yourself out there. So I think that is one skill which is very, very important as a leader, which is mindset. I think the passport of leadership is not a document, it is a mindset. We should, we talk about passport, we talk about, countries. We have seen, right, as we talk, I'm not even naming countries here. The countries which bully other countries, the countries which are only interested in doing a transaction will never survive. The same goes for leaders too. We've all encountered leaders who are bullies. We've all encountered leaders who think no one of themselves. We've all encountered leaders. I think the focus has to be on yourself. The focus does not have to be on, oh, this person proved me right, this person proved me wrong. The point is, if you do that all your life, you will be spending your time and your energy in doing that. I think that time and energy you can use on yourself, and as you are a health coach, I think it makes absolute sense that your health quotient, your physical quotient, your mental quotient, and your emotional quotient is equally important. And I think I would also add spiritual quotient. When I say spiritual quotient, it's about how do you look at, how mindful are you? How do you look at life? How do you look at how grateful are you? Namita or Momita, I think we are all grateful for the kind of life we have. At least I am very grateful that on a working Sunday like this at 7:12 p.m. in the evening, I'm able to sit and talk to such learned people and engage with all of you. And I think I'm privileged, and I'm very mindful of it. I'm very grateful for it, for this opportunity, because in a normal day you would not get that opportunity. Now, if I've got that opportunity, I want to grab it not with two hands, but with four hands and with Sunshine's hands too, which is my dog. So I think that's something I learned from my dog, mindset, and I think my dog has been my biggest teacher so far. And I say mindset, it's about the single-minded focus of going out and achieving. And this is a favorite quote of mine which I use, which is, you don't win the silver, you lose the gold. And I read this about the famous Martina Navratilova, a very, 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 very popular tennis player who would won so many Wimbledon titles during a time. And she had used this quote, you don't win the silver, you lose the gold. It's such a metaphorical statement, such a philosophical statement, but it also shows the winner's mindset. I think that mindset is very important as a leader, that you don't give up even when the chips are down. You are stubborn because you believe in it. And the kind of words you use for yourself and others also decides how you are as a person. So I think that's the first skill, in terms of mindset. I just want to give a few minutes for audience to think through while I catch a breath of water also. So when I talk about mindset, your mindset actually helps you get into a conversation. Uh, as leaders, I think what's also important is not just our body language, not just the hair, of course, which is all over the place, but also about the fact that the kind of words you use, how you intonate, the pauses you use, the way you speak. When you come in, does the room light up because you come in, or because of Zoom, or because of all the extra filters you have around you? I think that's important. When I talk about that, I talk about presence. Your presence as a leader. How fascinating are you as a leader? How interesting are you as a leader? What kind of stories do you have? And that's something I will talk about also a little bit into this conversation about storytelling. But when I talk about stories, we all talk about success, we all talk about failure. But how do we look at success? Like, how do we look at failure? Can we talk about failure in the same way they can be talk about success? Because if you look out there, Namita, on the social media platforms on the world, nobody really talks about failure. And that's what this masterclass is about. This masterclass is about breaking myths one masterclass at a time. There goes a quote, right? So I think, I feel our failures are more important than our victories. And I genuinely believe your failures make you what you are. All of us, whoever is here in this room with us, all 22, 24 of us who are in this room, we've all failed at some point of time in our lives. And your failure has made you stronger. Your failure has made you more mellow. Your failure has made you more measurable as a person. And I think that failure is more important. For me, failure is the biggest benchmark for a leader, more than his victories. Yes, victories are there, it's important, and social media is full of that. But what about your failures? And so I feel your mindset is important. How you look at life is important. The kind of words you use is important. how you look at change is important. The second thing which is important here is how curious are you, right? We're living in a world where information is available on a platter or on a ping, right? So everybody out there, I want, if you're listening in, you know, you can always tell us about a failure you went through and what did you learn from it. See, the whole idea of failure is not something which needs to be looked at as black and white and said, oh my God, I've failed, I've lost in life. No, your failures make you stronger as a person. In my dictionary, in my dictum, your failure is your biggest selling point as a leader. As a leader, if you are failed, you can speak about it openly. I think you're a hero or heroine in my book. So for everybody listening out there, if you have a failure you have gone through a failure, please go out and speak about it. Please go out and mention it. A failure you went through. It could be a transformation you had in life. It could be a fact that you failed and then you learned from it. And then you came back so strong that you never look back again. Right? That is one. The second thing I feel is being curious. And there's something I learned from my dog, of course. Because whenever anybody rings the bell in the house, whenever anybody comes home, my dog is the most curious animal. And I feel we all need to be curious a bit. And I feel one way to live a longer or to live a larger life, more than a longer life, I think a larger life as a leader is to be a little more curious. I think curious replaces charisma. Charisma is something which a lot of people speak about. Oh, he's got charisma. Clint Eastwood has got charisma. Shah Rukh Khan has got charisma. Aishwarya Rai Bachchan has got charisma. But I think you got to be curious in life. If you're curious in life, you will score more. You will do more. You will ask more questions. For me, the person who asks the most questions in the room, that person is the most curious. You could be asking the most stupid question, which people might think it's stupid. But if you're curious, if you have questions which are always there, I think that makes it worthwhile. So I think your curiosity, not certainty, and the fact that you need to constantly keep learning. Because in today's day and age, with AI coming in, with knowledge being at such a premium, I think it's very important to understand the fact that every moment you're learning something. I love to get into situations like this. I love to get into master classes like this where I get to interact with inspiring people like Rajesh, Momita, or Namita, because I get to learn so much from each one of you. And that learning is important because as you learn, you only grow more as a person, right? And I think we need to get back to that philosophy of learning, unlearning, and relearning more. We need to get back to just being curious in life and being curious because somehow I feel the apps around us have taken over. And I'll give you a very simple example, Namita or Momita. If I talk about WLL 3 times, suddenly I'll get only updates of WLL on my phone. If I say Shekhar Vijayan 3 times, I'll get updates on Shekhar Vijayan. This is what Shekhar Vijayan likes. If I say sunshine or golden retriever, I'll get updates on golden retriever food on my phone because our phones are listening to us. And that is a very scary thing. If your social media apps are listening to you, where is the curiosity? Your curiosity is also being replaced by your social media apps. That's where leadership is so important. For you to be a strong leader, for you to be an effective leader, you have to be curious in life. You have to be curious and think of all this, think of anything. And I think there needs to be a childish curiosity to it. It takes me back to this movie called Dead Poet Society, which is a very, very interesting movie starring this very famous actor called Robin Williams, where he speaks about the fact that, yes, the world is built. We need doctors and engineers and architects, but we also need creative artists to make the world go around. And that is so true about curiosity. If you're not curious in life, I think you're dead. If you're not curious in life, and for any one of us to grow as a leader, I think it's very important to be curious. It is very important to keep asking questions. It's very important to be that wind of change. It's very important to know that everything is not certain. There is a certain way out of it. So asking your question, and I think as a coach, coaching is all about asking the questions. Coaching is all about, I give this favorite quote of mine where I talk about the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, you have Arjuna, which is all of us, right? And I feel we have all the ability in the world, and we are out there in the battlefield, and there are distractions around us. You have your social media apps, you have distractions in various ways and means, and then Arjuna is very distracted, like all of us, and he goes to Sri Krishna, who's the eternal God, or the eternal man who's seen the future, seen the past, and we've seen the present, and he says, Sri Krishna, I am very disillusioned in life. I'm going to go out and fight with the Kauravas, who are my cousins, which whom I've been brought up with, I have played with, and I'm going to fight with them. These are my distractions. How do I take care of it? And Sri Krishna, like a coach, tells him, your job is not to fight. This is your dharma. This is your objective. So he makes the conversation so objective instead of making it so emotional. Where he talks about, with the questions he asks him, he gets into a position where all Arjuna thinks is about the destination. And I think that's what coaching is about. That's what leadership is about. Leadership is about making things very specific, making things very objective, and asking questions which spark that curiosity. And a coach's job is not to tell, well done, half done, good done. No. I think a coach's job is about asking the right questions and telling a Momita or telling a Namita or telling a Shekhar, you know what? I have your back. I'm with you through this entire journey. And that's what is important. So at this point in time, I want to ask all of you listening in, what is important for you? Is it the journey? Is it the destination? Or is it the company? So you can all put your answers on the group. What is important for you, the journey, the destination, or the company? And I can tell you, there's no right or wrong answer to this. Because the journey, the destination, or the company changes for all of us at whatever point of time of life we are in. It may be in a very, see, like Momita said, journey. Great. So some of us might be company, it might be destination, and it's very interesting because, there's no right or wrong answer to this. It's all, what we are all looking at is the approach. So from Sri Krishna, who sparked your curiosity in Arjuna, to the fact that you got to be curious by nature. And as children, I don't know if you know this, remember this, we were all very curious, climbing up trees, trying out different things, getting beaten, getting scoldings from our parents. Where has all that gone? Nobody wants to ask questions. The only questions people are asking is on Chat GPT or on Google, right? Nobody wants to have conversations. When was the last time we all had a conversation, right? Like a soulful conversation. Like I think maximum conversation I've had with my dog, right? So I'm sure there will be a situation, and I'm sure that's going to happen sometime in the future. People are going to have live-in relationship with ChatGPT. That's going to happen sometime, and it's already happening as we talk. I know of people who have conversations with Amazon Alexa, saying that, hi, Alexa, good morning. How are you doing today? And then there's an automated voice which comes in. Oh, we're doing fine. How would you like your coffee? I would like my coffee with a dash of sugar and some cream. I'm like, wow, this is where we have come to right now. So I think it's very important to roll back a bit. It's very important to come back to basics and think about things which motivate us. Think about things which inspire us. Think about things which make us passionate. Think about what really made us do this in the first place as leaders. So as leaders, I think it's very important to understand that leadership is not just a verb. It's not just an adjective which is given to people. It is something which you need to believe in it completely. And as leaders, I think it's very important to be curious, right? The third thing which is important here is emotional intelligence, not intelligence quotient. When I say emotional intelligence, empathy. Empathy opens more doors. Empathy opens more windows than titles. You could be the richest man in the world. You could be the richest man in the world, but you may not necessarily be the happiest man in the world. There's a difference. I don't think I've ever seen Bill Gates really happy and smiling or like laughing away and wow, great, having fun. Or as compared to Walt Disney, or as compared to anybody else, or as compared to the KFC man. I'm saying the whole idea of of how do you look at success, how do you look at failure, that's all about emotional intelligence. So I think as leaders, what is really important is, why is EQ so important? If you want to yeah, Ratan Tata is the best example, right? And they don't make leaders like him anymore. When I think of Ratan Tata, Sir Ratan Tata, of course, I think about that moment when he passed away and, when his dog had come to see him. But also about the fact when the 9/11 attacks happened, when the attacks, 26/11 attacks happened in Bombay, he stood there when his hotel was getting burned, and he had given a commitment that within a month's time he will come back in action and he will take care of his employees. So that is Ratan Tata for you, where he looked at failure and said, we will look at it and we'll make it happen. So there is transformation, there is empathy, there is gratitude, and there is also commitment. I think it's a walking, talking masterclass for all of us. And somebody who doesn't raise his voice, somebody who's perfect at the art of listening, and somebody who's grace personified. And we cannot talk about that about a lot of leaders like that, right? We have leaders who shout a lot, who speak a lot, but it's just brass tacks. So I think what's important here is empathy. What is important here is emotional intelligence. See, if you talk about intelligence quotient, if we talk about the fact that if you go on Google, you can get so much information. If you go on Google and you type anything, you will get all the information, technical skills in the world. But soft skills like this, in terms of empathy, in terms of emotional intelligence, is not sold in stores, unfortunately. It's not, unfortunately. It's not sold in stores. You cannot go pick it up and say, you know what, I want emotional intelligence. 2 kilo dena. Doesn't work like that. because that is something which comes in with your experiences. That is something which comes in with your mindset. That is something which comes in through your failures. That is something which comes in through your stories. So you got to hold on to that. And I want everybody here to think about the stories which have made you what you are. You know, the top 2 or 3 stories which have catapulted you. That the fact that you have gone through a failure in life and you've kept it hidden somewhere because you didn't feel comfortable about it. That story is important. That story, that moment, which made you think, you know what, this is the only way forward. Let's go for it. I think that's important in terms of emotional quotient. The fourth thing which is important is presence. Not PowerPoint presentations. I'm not doing a presentation today because I told Momita the same thing. I believe in going extempore and speaking my mind. I did a TED talk on why emotional quotient and storytelling are the superpowers of the 21st century, and I was the only one in the group who didn't have a script, and I got scared because a day before that, in usually like a TED talk is the Oscar award of public speaking. So a day before that you mark your spot, you come in and do a rehearsal and everything. And there were gentlemen there, people there who had 21 pages of script. And I was like, wow, this fellow has really learned and speaking his mind. And the day of the TED Talk, he actually spoke it like it was de facto. And I was, that is the only time when I got butterflies. I usually don't get butterflies because I speak my mind and I spoke about transformation and I spoke about my Mount Kailash trip and everything around it. Because all of that was very heartfelt. But I realized what is actually important here is your presence. What is actually important here is how do you make people feel? When people talk to you as a leader, do people feel enlightened? Do people feel empowered? Do people feel like, oh my God, this guy is making so much sense? Or oh my God, this person is talking bullshit? Do people start laughing when they think of you? Do people start smiling when they think of you? Do people get emotional when they think of you? That is a true blueprint of leadership. Leadership is all about how you make people feel. Leadership is not about reading from PowerPoint. Leadership is not about reading from a text. Leadership is something which is very, very personal. Leadership is about what makes you tick. Leadership is about what motivates you, what inspires you, what's your body language like, what kind of words do you use, how do people feel after speaking to you? Do they feel like they're walking on thin air after they're talking to you? Or do they feel like they want to dig up a well and jump into it after talking to you? Leadership can make people go high up in outer space, just go deep down in Patal Lok. I think and we have seen that. We have seen leaders who have made us do these things and nothing about it also. So I think what's really important as leaders, I think it's very important to evoke the right kind of emotions, the right kind of sentiments, and make people feel that they can do it. Because I feel leadership can make people, as somebody who comes on TV, who comes and talks on politics and which can be very polarizing. I'm one of the few who gets a chance to come on TV because I don't use polarizing language. I talk about India. India, what is India for me? For me, I want India to win. I want the world to win always. And I feel it all boils down to having a strong belief system, a strong value system, that this is what I will do. And I will do this in spite of any situation because I believe this is correct. This is my ethics. This is what I believe it's right. And it will get tested at any given point of time in our lives. As leaders, we will be tested ethically. We will be tested. Now the whole idea is the whole test is how do you come out of it? How do you stand strong? How do you stand stubborn and say, you know what, I will walk through this baptism by fire and make a difference. And when I think of that, I think of people like Nelson Mandela. I think of Barack Obama. I think of our Honorable Prime Minister, who spent almost 45 years in a leadership role. Nelson Mandela, who spent 45 years in the prison. And even after coming out of the prison, he was grateful for the time he spent in the prison. And he forgave the people who committed, atrocities against him. Now, we're talking about mindset. You can't get bigger than that, right? You're talking about, spending 40 years of your life in prison and then coming out strong and thinking in that. That's the mindset we're talking about. And I think it's all about doing this one step at a time, one moment at a time, and all about thinking and doing deep. And I think as leaders, one super skill which is also important is journaling and writing. I always believe as a coach, when I coach my coaches, I tell them you need to journal and write down your problems. When you journal and write down a problem which is affecting you a lot, trust me, by the time you write it on paper, the problem is not so heavy anymore. Literally, figuratively, and metaphorically. Because they say the pen is mightier than the sword for a reason. And now I know the reason why. Because there has to be some logic to it, right? When you think of these idioms and phrases. Because when you start writing it, you realize, oh my God, this is not a big issue at all. I thought it was such a big issue, right? It is not a big issue. So I think journaling is going to be so important as a leader. Communication. When I talk about communication, clarity is important. We talk about this word called KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? That's something I learned from a dog again, right? Clarity, you look at the eyes, you really know what they're really up to in terms of body language. So I think clarity is important here. In the next masterclass, we should get sunshine, Namita. Right? Yeah, but clarity is important. When I say clarity in terms of how you speak, in today's day and age, with the world is so foggy, with so much of there's a word called TMI, too much of information. And I'm a big fan of this Office series, which is there on TV. It's called this person called Michael Scott. It's really funny and really obnoxious also. And he uses words called TMI, too much information. In today's day and age, we are inundated with so much information around us. WhatsApp is something, some stories going on somewhere. Facebook has got stories, your Instagram has got stories. Switch on the TV, you only got negative news around you. What do you listen to? What do you believe in? And I think that's where you are inundated with so much information coming at you at breakneck speed. And that's why it's important to just take a step back and say, you know what, I've got this. I have this. So once again, first thing which are important is your mindset as a leader, the kind of words you use, the kind of language you use, the kind of listening skills you have, how you motivate yourself, how you inspire yourself, what the kind of people you have around you. Like I said, you're the average of 5 people you have around you. If you've got really toxic people around you, if you've got people who really want to put you down, please stop them like a hot potato. And you can use my example today in this masterclass to drop the people who need. You can give an example saying, in this masterclass, Shekhar said this, I'm doing it. No, but jokes apart, I think it's very important to have the right people around you. Having the right support structure is also equally important. People who believe in what you say. And that's where your mindset is going to be really important about how you think about yourself. So when you go to sleep at the night, when you wake up in the morning, you need to motivate yourself and say, you know what, I can do it, I shall do it, I will do it. I don't believe in living in the past tense. I believe in living the present and the future because the future is very strong and we are on the edge of greatness. There's this book written by this person called Marshall Goldsmith, which said, what got you here won't get you there. I feel they are living in a world where it's already very good. So if you're good, it's not good enough. If you want to be a strong leader, if you want to be a leader with superpowers, you got to be great. If you got to be great, your mindset has to change completely. So great is the new buzzword, not good anymore. Because if you're talking right now, we are in the pantheon of greats. So let's be great. Let's just not be good anymore. Second thing which is important is curiosity. Curiosity replaces charisma. Curiosity is asking the right questions. Curiosity is, looking at things with a childish abandon. Curiosity is asking till you get the answer which you want. Through schools, through colleges, we've always been told don't ask too many questions, right? Our conditioning has been told, right? If you ask me who's the fastest man in the world, I will tell it's Usain Bolt. If you ask me who's the second fastest man in the world, people may not know. Because we've been conditioned to believe you got to be the fastest, you got to be the best, you got to be the swiftest in what you do in life. But there is also something about being the second fastest and third fastest. Curiosity is important in life, not certainty. The third thing which is important is emotional intelligence. How do you look at success? How do you look at failure? What are you motivated by? What's your legacy? What are the values you have in life? When you look at happiness, what gives you complete happiness? Is happiness about traveling in a private jet? Is happiness about earning lots of money? Which can be the case, and there's nothing wrong in that. Or is happiness about playing with your dog? Or is happiness about, watching your favorite movie or reading asterisks or just spending time with your friends like we're doing right now? I think the fourth thing which is important is your presence. What kind of presence do you carry? When people are with you, do they listen to you? Are they fascinated by your stories? Are they fascinated by what you bring to them? I think that as leaders, I think one important tool we all have and which we should use a lot is how do we get people to think? And how do we get people to laugh? How do we get people to cry? How do we get people to behave? How do we get people to react and respond? So, as leaders, I think we've got such a critical and such an important role. If you are a leader with superlative skills and you want to look into a global career, I think what's going to be really important is how you can make people react to you. When you get into a room, be it a Zoom session, online session, offline session, how you talk, how you react, how you remember people's names makes a big difference. You know, People don't remember titles, by the way. Let's be clear. People remember birthdays. I know for a fact that Namita was born on 24th of December, which she told me yesterday, and I'm born on Christmas Day, so don't forget to wish me. But I'm just saying, Namita, when is your birthday?
15th of April, Shekhar.
15th of April, you're an Aryan. Wow.
Yes.
frank, fearless, and as blunt as they come. So I'm saying, so, people don't remember titles. People remember your birthdays. People remember your names. People remember how you made them feel at that point of time. It's like the famous Mary Angelo said, right? It's not about what you do, how you do, where you do. It's about how you make people feel. And I think that's really important. Last but not the least, legacy. It takes me back to the women's cricket team which won the ODI World Cup this time around. And I was on TV talking about it. And I feel the women's cricket team had a moment when they had a moment with the coach, when the coach said, I don't want you to look at other people's story. I want you to write your own story. And I found that so powerful, so impactful. This is a time for us to script our own stories. And that's what storytelling is about. And that's why it's such an important skill as a leader. Your storytelling skills. What are your stories? Do people want to listen to your stories when you talk? Or they feel like, oh my God, this person is so full of himself or herself. When your stories are out there, how fascinating are they? How enigmatic are they? How transformative are they? Do they make people realize what they're capable of? I think that's what is going to be really important. And if you look at leaders down the line, leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, who use the concept of non-violence, whether people like him or not, it's a different thing altogether. But at that point of time, to galvanize an entire generation and say, you know what, we won't use violence to get our objectives. We will use non-violence and achieve this. That speaks a lot. Or a Nelson Mandela, or a Barack Obama, or even our honorable prime minister. And I would also look a little more closely at the interesting Donald Trump, who, whether you like him or not, the fact that he's fearless and goes out and speaks on a press conference every day, I think is the best example of a public speaker. So I think what we should all focus on is learning from each other, because there is so much you can pick up from each person, from each leader. How they use the body language, how they speak, the kind of words they use, the kind of intonation they have, the kind of stories they have. Ultimately, leadership is not about transaction. Leadership is about transformation. And that was what I was aiming at through this entire, in the last half an hour. I'm not talking about transactions here. I'm talking about transformation. I'm talking about inspiring you to go out and make a difference, inspiring you to go out and do something with your lives. Because if you don't do it now, I don't want you to be in a position that, yeah, I could have done this, I should have done this, I would have done this. Like I said earlier, I don't believe in living in past tense, and neither should you. If you are here in the session at this moment, it's a providence of luck. If you're in the session because somebody's told you about it, you're in the right place at the right time. I believe more than destiny. I believe more than luck. I think it's we create our own future. We create our own opportunities around us. And as coaches or as leaders, I think we are extremely lucky to have that opportunity to decide on a Monday when everybody else is going to work, when everybody else is braving the traffic, you can afford to sleep in on a Monday because you have done what needs to be done as a leader to make things possible. And I think that is a hallmark of a coach. That is a hallmark of a leader with a global career where you don't think the boundaries ever exist. I don't think boundaries ever exist for all of us in this world. I think they're all, like Michael Jackson said, we are the world. Right? I feel Michael Jackson was a very misunderstood musician. He, at one point of time, got all the musicians together. Momita, almost like you, if you think about it, right? You got all the coaches together at one forum, which is not an easy task. Like you mentioned right at the beginning, Michael Jackson got all the musicians, and I'm telling you, musicians or coaches are very creative people with a lot of ego. Getting all of them on one platform in one session is never easy. To make that happen, I think it requires a lot of ability, a lot of talent, and a lot of gusto too. So, on that note, I want to say that keep the fire burning, inspiring all of us. That is the cue. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Shekhar. I was making copious notes, and I'm going to request Mamita to please share a recording. There's so much in there, and so many insights and so many questions, right from calling Mamita Michael Jackson to helping us with, the key points. Like you just structured it so well, going from our mindset, having a childlike curiosity, which is so true, empathy. I've written these points down, Shekhar, and I'm sending you questions. Commitment, the part about presence, and also, to journal, to have clarity, and to leave a legacy. That's it was just fantastic. I didn't think you could fit in so much in half an hour. Thank you very,
Thank
very
you.
much. And
Thank you.
Shekhar, if it's okay with you, I'd like to open the floor to any
Absolutely.
questions
Absolutely.
that our participants may have.
Absolutely.
Can I request them, if they don't want to chat it through, they can just unmute themselves and ask you a question? Are you
Yeah,
okay with that, Shekhar? Yeah.
no
So
problem.
can I open this up to our participants? If you have any questions, any feedback, anything that you could speak to Shekhar about, he's agreed to speak with us now. So over to you as participants. I'm going to reserve a question for you, Shekhar.
Sure, please.
My question to you is, if you had to give us 3 points to take away from here so that we can start to look at, okay, the year's coming to an end, and
Okay.
this is the right time to look at entering 2026 on a strong note. What would you suggest to us? I'm sorry if it's a broad spectrum
No,
question,
no,
but
no.
if 3 points that we can take away, just simple for us to focus on and move forward, what would those 3 pointers be?
Absolutely. So, Namita, this is something which I would recommend. New Year's going to start.
Thank you for guiding us with
Thank
this.
you. Thank you, Namita.
So there have been a few chats or texts on the chat box. There are people who are thanking Professor Shekhar for his insights. And in some of the sessions, we had some questions, but I am sure that it was so simple and shared in such a beautiful way that people, each one of us understood it so clearly that they might not have questions. Still, in case if anyone has any question, please feel free to ask, or else we can wrap up the session. And Namita, in case if you can read the same for all of us, it will be really kind of. Thank you.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I have a small question.
Oh, awesome. Yes, please.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Shekhar, for your valuable time on Sunday evening.
Thank
It
you.
would be really helpful. So I had just one small question because you were mentioning about the art of storytelling, right? So how do we implement and master it? Because what is happening? I am working in the technical front,
Right.
so I build products and I pitch the ideas when I was participating in Innovation Fest. So what I'm lacking is I always focus on the part how we implement, how we do, what are we bringing features. But
Correct.
like I have gone through the art of storytelling quite a some time, but not able to implement that in the real time. So can you suggest some of the techniques so that we can adapt and use it in a real time?
Absolutely. So, I'll give you three things to this.
Yeah,
Those are the
thanks.
three important things.
Yeah, actually, I was going to talk about Steve Jobs because I am like, yeah, I feel impressed with those features, but the only thing is how to learn from it and practice it in the real time is where I'm struggling. But I
So,
will try to adapt the techniques and
correct.
pointers which you
So
mentioned.
storytelling is something which is very, you have to keep practicing it at different places. It's almost like public speaking. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your help, and
Thank
I will
you.
definitely try to use this point.
Absolutely. And tell me how it goes.
Thank you so much, Shekhar. And I think we all learned from that. Thanks, Manoj, for that question. And do we have any other questions, or can we wrap up for this evening?
Yes, there are certain questions, Namita, which are on the chat box. Can
Are
you
they?
give those
Okay.
for us? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mamita. 1 second. Let me just have a look. I think.
I think Ganshab has a question. Right?
Yeah, there's a question and there's a request, Professor. Could you suggest some books which help us improve our leadership qualities?
Surely. Start talking.
Thank you so much, Professor. And yeah, I like the last bit, start talking and connecting with people. I mean, that's brilliant. Wrote down these books, but we'll also request for a recording of the session from Mamita so we can go through it again and,
Yes,
pick up.
Namita, all the sessions are getting recorded and
Thank you.
those will be there available for all the registered participants after the entire 13 master classes get over on December 28th. After that, each session will keep coming up and the entire session will be there recorded for whoever wants to
That's
access it.
amazing. That is just amazing. Thank you so much, Mamita. And I think we'll wrap up for this evening. We've got to thank you, Professor, for taking time out. And, with such ease and clarity, you've condensed and distilled the information so that all of us can relate and understand this. Thank you very, very much. We could listen to you for another hour or so and maybe much more. And like you said, we can follow you on LinkedIn and continue our conversation there. And for our students, our participants here, don't forget the next masterclass is next Sunday at 7 p.m. And Mamita, we've got to thank you once again for making this a reality and a possibility. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to host today and the privilege of hosting you, Professor Shekhar. So thank you so much. Over to you, Mamita.
Yeah, Momita, before you come in, Namita, thank you so much. You've been very kind. Thank you so much. And I'm telling Momita the same thing. I'm very spontaneous, very off the cuff, and we managed to have it exactly in half an hour. So full credit to you, Namita, for spearheading this and making it happen. Thank you so much, Momita, and thank you so much, Namita. I think both of you are rock stars in more ways than one.
You're very kind, Professor.
Thank you.
So on behalf of each one of us, on behalf of World Leaders Foundation, on behalf of all the participants, I thank Namita for the wonderful hosting and Professor Shekhar Vijayan for the wonderful insights. I really look forward to listen to you once again in the near future because it's always a pleasure listening to you.
Thank you.
And Namita, you are always so professional and we always learn from each other. So the participants, thank you so much for your patience and listening to this and being active all throughout the entire masterclass. We look forward to see you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Take care. Have a great week ahead and see you at the next masterclass. And Professor, all the very best to you.
Thank you.